Hey everybody, Ryan here with Go For It Studios. Once again, sitting in an Astro at a pick and pull lot. The seat base I got yesterday, it's the wrong one. It's the one that I've already got, but thankfully it was only like 10 bucks. At the LKQ in Daytona, I found a seat base that'll work. It's a completely different style because it's got the wood paneling and it's like the square base and all that. But measuring it out for clearance, for floor shape, and for bolt, everything's the same. Everything works. It's just a different style. But I think it's actually even lower profile, and I really like the way it's built because it's a solid square box. So I'm gonna finish getting this thing pulled, and then when I take it home, I'm gonna take the wood paneling off. I'm gonna sand all the rust down off of it and get it repainted, since I wasted my time doing that yesterday with the other one before realizing it was the wrong one. So we're gonna get this going. I'm really excited. All right, so I'm back home. I'm gonna take off the rails and then get it all sanded down and clean up the washers and stuff, and then I'm gonna repaint, not the rails, but everything else, the washers and the base, with some good flat black primer. And yeah, let's get going. All right, so I just want to show you guys that on this box frame, just doing a test fit, the front holes line up great. The back holes, I'm just going to drill new ones, which is fine. I got plenty of bolts, nuts, and washers. This thing is so heavy duty. It's awesome. It's from Northern Tool. I'll drop a link for that. Now the rails that came off that box, I'm actually going to mount to the chair first. So I've got the top bolts just kind of set in there just to hold it up. This has two adjusters. So if you put it on this closer one and then do minor adjustment on this, it'll reach both sides, because it was a little bit more narrow on that. But at this width, which is the chair's width from my 99 all-wheel drive, at this width, these posts fit perfectly onto the top plate of this. So I'm going to be mounting my rails, my track rails, on top of the swivel, which means when I swivel, I'll still have control of forward and backwards motion, sliding forward and back. Whereas if you mount this to the rails, then the rail adjustment is always on the front. And I just think this is going to be way more convenient. So I'm going to get going. The only thing that I did run into is these rails are also shorter, so they don't reach that bottom nut right there. So we'll be drilling holes right there once I get everything lined up, and I know exactly where they need to go, and I'll just be hitting a little pilot hole there, and then I'll drill a, looks like 5/16 inch hole to fit my bolts and nuts through there. I've got plenty of lock washers too, so I think it's going to be just fine. And I got some blue Loctite. I like that stuff, so we're going to be putting that on there too, since this is a seat attachment, and you know, blue Loctite is it's going to be good because you don't want anything falling out. But yeah, let's keep going. All right, so what I'm going to do now that I got all these sanded down, all the rust is busted off, everything's semi-shiny, pretty nice. I got the base here. This is what I would like to call the back, because it has the most micro adjustments for when you turn the seat around. You can face it at any one of those awesome angles, and when you go back to the front, you don't have to play around trying to find the right angle. It just has one option. So we're going to set this down. Sorry, I don't have a camera stand, but a couple of the front holes kind of line up right there. If I can get it even. Boom. And so I'm just going to get this position nice and center on here, and then these holes that don't have anywhere to go on the back, I'm going to mark and drill new holes before I get it all painted up. And I kind of played around with the idea of maybe throwing in just a couple extras, just because I have enough, and why not, for added security. So yeah, I'm going to get this marked out and then get those holes drilled so it lines up proper, and then I'll get the same thing done over here with these holes. And I'm probably going to do that after I mount the rails to the swivel, because then I can keep it in this position where the seat is mostly forward or back. Anyway, from this position, I'll be able to actually see where these line up. Then I can mark centers, drill holes, and get it finished. So let's yeah, next step. All right, so I've got the rails mounted to the swivel plate. They just line up freaking perfectly. And now I've got double washer spacers, just like how they had it. If you can see that, yep, there it is. That's just how they had it. And these rails came out of an Astro Mark III, the conversion one. So I've got these in here, and I already slid it back, and it's lined up perfectly, centered, you know, on the mounting rails. And I marked the centers of the holes with a little Sharpie dot. So now I'm going to take the chair back off and then drill the holes in the chair frame where the new bolts are going to go. So of course, Florida, I got everything sanded down, got all my new holes drilled, everything's ready to go, and now it's just a light rain. So I'm going to bring it in and just paint it facing out of the garage so any overspray gets blown out by the fan. And I'm just going to be doing a light dusting on these, and then once it's dry I'll do a second coat. Alright, so while these are all drying, those are the mounting washers and the ones that go above, so the nuts don't need to into that too much. And then I'm going to flip this over and paint the top when it's ready. But what we can do now is, since the rails are ready to go, I can now mount the rails with the original screws to the front using some blue Loctite, and then I'll slide it back, or slide it forward actually, well, back. I'll slide it to the other side, bleh, and get these new ones mounted in with nuts and washers on them and some blue Loctite. And once that's all secured up, then I'll take the swivel plate off of the rails. Since it's already there, I'm just going to keep working forward, and I'll take one off one at a time and take the nut off, put a washer on, get some blue Loctite, and boom, all the way around. And then we'll just be waiting on paint to dry. So yeah, it's an exciting day. Alright, so easiest way, just use the original mounting screw, and then get the nuts that match it, which are the ones that come on the base. So match those up. I can't remember what the thread count is on those, but now this is mounted up perfectly, and now it has the ability to slide back and forth as well as pivot. But yeah, it'll be a lot easier when it's on the actual base. So now that is a little bit tacky on the bottom, but that is the very bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it and get the top painted, and that way we can get this moving a little bit quicker, because watching paint dry, as much as it sounds like it's a great time, it's boring. So we're going to go ahead and flip it early. Alright, so everything's mounted up together, it's ready to go into the van. Easiest way when you're bolting anything that's got multiple bolts, just drop all the screws into where they're supposed to go before you tighten a single one, okay? I do that, and then I go around and get everything secured with lock nuts on the bottom, and got the Loctite in there too. And so now we're ready to face it forward and drop it in the van, which I took the liberty, because it's been a minute, I took the driver's seat out too and vacuumed the hell out of it. So one of these days I'm going to take this carpet out, one of these days, future van project, because they never end. I'm going to take this carpet out, and I'm going to insulate everything, sound dampen it, and either do new carpet or something better that's easier to clean and doesn't hold stains from before you bought it. But yeah, so anyway, gonna get that shotgun seat in, and we'll put the driver's seat back in, and then I'll show you guys how it looks and how it operates. Okay, so anybody else that's going to be using this base, if you still have your lower fan stuff in for whatever reason, and you decide to mount to this plate, if you get it nice and centered up all around and bolted more towards the front, you can leave part of this original hole open, and that was the access hole for these nuts on the mounting bolts. And you can still, it's too bright. Okay, you can still get that in there, and you can still wrench it down. You just can't put the socket in through the top. So put the socket on the nut, put your extension through, click it on, tighten it up, switch sides, repeat. Pretty easy. Okay, so sitting in the chair, it looks awesome. Let's get a little bit more. Yeah, okay, so it sits normal, doesn't rock back and forth, it feels really secure. And even with me, 5'11", 210, if I get the seat to clear the frame right there, I guess I can go a little bit more back. I can swivel it while sitting in it, kind of. There we go. Boom. And that's just one of the many angles, you know, you can pick to lock it. So I can face at an angle right there, or I can face straight back. Then I can move the seat all the way forward. And if my passenger wants to, or if I want to when I'm alone, boom, I can still chill right here. Now it opens up to the rest of the van, which is a mess right now, but you know, progress. I am so freaking excited. I've been wanting to do this for so long. And yeah, I was just lucky. The seat base cost me $4.95 at LKQ. I just couldn't not do this project. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and leave comments, ask questions, like and subscribe, whatever. Yeah, this was a fun project. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao.